Well, let's continue here. Public sector unions and government representatives have resumed wage talks. It's after negotiations deadlocked last week, with government staying steadfast in its position that no wage increase will take place, at least not in this financial year. Unions are demanding a 7% hike. Well, to tell us where we are with those negotiations, Public Servants Association spokesperson Ruben Maleka joins us on the line. Mr. Maleka, good evening, and thank you so much for your time. Certainly reading some of the reports from earlier this morning and late yesterday, where you've done interviews, you were sounding optimistic about the state of the negotiations. Now that you've had the opportunity to go through the 24-hour cycle of resumption of these negotiations, are you still optimistic?
Thank you very much, Kathy, and the viewers at home. I want to be honest, Casey, we are very disappointed. We were optimistic when the employer invited us into a meeting, noting the fact that we have deadlocked on the 23rd of April. All the intention was that at this point in time we would have arrived at the conciliation process, but the employer made a plea, serious plea to us as unions that do not go to the conciliation. I'm ready to facilitate and bring an offer that you can consider. We met on Friday. On Friday, there was nothing. We met again on a Sunday. All the negotiators wasted their time on a Sunday to go and listen for nothing. Today is Monday. It's almost the evening or going into the night. The negotiators has been waiting since this morning. I can tell you, Kathy, there's nothing. The employer is still locked into what is called a caucus, but we don't know what they are really caucusing, because we thought when they called this meeting, they were ready. You can't call a meeting and you come and have a caucus of 2 days without even saying anything to us as labor. We believe that we are at a point that we can no longer tolerate these shenanigans, the playing around of the employer, calling us to meetings and they don't give us anything. So we are at a point that if we go on to sleep tonight and there's nothing on the table tangible that we can take to the members for mandating, we would regard this facilitation as one that has failed. We must just go to the process of conciliation.
Let's talk about what was on offer when you left those negotiations yesterday evening. You talk about the fact that the employer has gone, government effectively has gone to caucus. Did they at least give you a hint of what they would be discussing?
Look, that's the frustration that we are sitting with right now, because you have an employer who calls a meeting, and at the meeting where you expect that they'll give you an offer so that you can go and caucus. Instead, they go and caucus. Then you ask yourself, what was the purpose to call a meeting? And more worse is to call a meeting over weekend, and even today. We're talking about negotiators that have been away since the weekend. And today they are telling us there's nothing that the employers actually said to them is still in caucus. So it's a waste of time, it's a waste of resources to call meetings of this kind of nature, and for that mere of just calling and sitting in a caucus. So we are very disappointed as PSA. We cannot tolerate going to this kind of meetings just to go and sit around waiting for people talking and not even at least giving us indication what are they talking about. They are not even saying to us what are they talking about. So what's the purpose of having this kind of meetings?
Of course, government would be trying to avoid a strike at all costs. Right now, given the state of the negotiations, how plausible is it that you may down tools?
Look, it's now evident that there's no other alternative. It looks like the only language that is understood in this country is a strike. We see with the university students, they went on strike, they got what they want. We have seen in the communities when people want water and services, they only strike, then they get services. It's now also us as public servants.
We seem to have lost that connection to Ruben Maleka from the Public Servants Association. So it certainly, as you heard, still seems very much to be a deadlock between the unions and government. Hopefully there will be some kind of resolution that does not result in the downing of tools. Of course, that could well affect workers in the public sector across the board.